This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out and succeed online, but more on them later. I am a watch person. I think buying a nice watch is one of the best things you can put your money towards, and I love helping people when they're watch shopping. There are very few items you will purchase in your life that are things you keep forever, or for a very, very long time, and machines that you care for. I don't know. I think they're so cool. I think they're awesome, and here's some watch buying tips I would like to put out into the world. Typically, in a video like this, people will tell you to really invest your money in a go anywhere, do anything watch. Something like the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, the Omega Aquaterra, Tissot Gentleman. A fairly basic, inoffensive watch, easy to dress up and down, usually with some good water resistance. I've recommended this to people, that if you're going to have one expensive watch, have it be your go anywhere, do anything watch. So I'm not slagging off other YouTubers or people online, but something I've noticed for myself personally, and the watches that I actually wear, it's my for-purpose watches, a lot more than my all-rounders. For example, my most worn watch these past few months has been my Omega Seamaster Diver 300 mid-size from the early 2000s. Am I going diving anytime soon? No, but I really enjoy wearing this. And if I'm not wearing my Seamaster, I'm probably wearing my Cartier Tank or Santos or my FP Journe Elegant. So my official statement is, go anywhere, do anything watches are great. And if that's the style that speaks to you the most, buy it. But you don't need to have a boring minimal watch as much as people say you do. Okay, this is another thing I've had an evolving opinion on. I used to be a hardline, no, never spend over retail, I would never do it, and I still largely feel that way, and I personally wouldn't spend over retail to have a certain watch. For me, personally, I won't spend more than the brand thinks that it's worth, and there's no watch that I want desperately enough to spend more than retail on. But in some specific circumstances, it could be the right choice for you. Maybe you only want one nice watch. You have a large budget. Let's say you want the Rolex Daytona. It would be a meaningful watch for you to own, and that's all you want. The truth is, you probably won't get allocated one from the Rolex authorized dealer. It's a waitlisted item, and it often gets allocated to people with large purchase history and will continue to purchase with them. This is probably the only circumstance where I would recommend to someone to spend over retail. For myself, personally, I'm a collector. I'm not doing it. But if you're not a collector, you have a budget for whatever watch you're wanting to buy, and it would be a meaningful purchase. It makes sense. Sorry, you probably want to move on, but the desperately cheap person inside of me needs to add in, I really wouldn't recommend buying top of the market, like when we were in 2022 and a lot of these watches were going for ridiculous prices. Right now seems to be an okay time to buy secondary, even if it is above retail. I'd recommend waiting just that little bit longer till after Christmas, maybe in February time, when things seem to cool down a bit. Speaking of me being desperately cheap, you can ask for discounts from the authorized dealer for most pieces. In fact, I would say it's kind of a part of the purchasing experience. Now, if you're anything like me, a little piece of you dies every time you have to ask if there's a little bit of wiggle room in the price because it feels so gauche and so cheap. And for clarity, so you can understand the deep complexities that are happening within me always, although I am cheap, I don't like being seen to be cheap. I don't like having to be cheap out in public. There's a big charade that's happening. But for most pieces and brands, it is totally fine to ask if there's a bit of wiggle room in the retail price. For most brands, they will take off 15 to 20%, and I think that's been factored into the prices that you see at retail. You can't ask for discount with Rolex. I wouldn't with AP or any difficult to obtain Patek Philippe's, but everything else I would ask if there's a little bit of flexibility in the price. At the end of the day, the 80s want to move these not hype pieces. These brands aren't struggling for money, and luxury margins are huge. Don't feel shy in protecting your wallet. Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear to help myself feel better about being so cheap. But I'm just trying to get my wallet up, my pockets up in general at the moment, which is why I use today's fabulous video sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're a brick and mortar business or deciding to finally start that side hustle, having a good looking website is essential, and this is what Squarespace does. I'm not a design person, I don't know how to build a website, but Squarespace makes it so that anyone can build the perfect website. You could use their Blueprint AI. You just give the AI enhanced builder some basic information about your industry, goals, personality to generate your website, which is still fully customizable. Or maybe you want to do it the good old-fashioned way. That's what I did. So you go to their library of professionally designed templates, select the one that speaks to you, and plug in your information. Here is my personal website. I love it. I couldn't make a website that looks anything near as good as this on my own. And on top of that, Squarespace takes care of all the SEO stuff, search engine optimization, so you show up more often on search engines to bring in more of your ideal customer. With Squarespace, you can offer services, sell products, or maybe you just want to have a little one-pager so people can find you. That's what I do. I just have a little one-pager. It is essential to the work that I do here. It is how a lot of brands find me and reach out to me, and it kind of tricks people into thinking I'm a little bit professional. Anyways, if this sounds good to you, go try them out. Check out squarespace.com/BritPierce. The link is in my description, and use my code, the BritPierce code, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I love Squarespace. I think you will. And thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I won't stay here long. I feel like I'm always harping on about investment bros, so I'm not going to make you guys sit through this for a long time. But viewing watches as investments is not a good thing, and they aren't sure bets. When we were in the height of the pandemic watch bubble, 2021, 2022, there were so many people peddling, these are only going to go up and up and up. Buy that AP right now. Get that Nautilus. You can't afford not to. Even if it's secondary, these won't stop going up. Look at these lines. And, well, we all know how that's turned out. We don't know what the future holds, least of all YouTubers. We don't know what watches will be the hype watches 10 years from now. One thing I think I should quickly acknowledge on the investment side of things is that I understand why resale value is important to people. These are expensive things, and it's a nice safety net. I know that if my life exploded, I could always sell my watches and have some money. I know that. But what I would say is I don't view watches or choose the watches I'm going to purchase through that lens. I don't buy watches because they're a good investment. You know, does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Okay, this is somewhat related to the investment watch, but if buying a watch pushes your budget just that little bit too far, if it stings just a little bit too much, it's probably not the right time. The amount of money you spend on watches is completely subjective to you. Some factors include your personal income, where you allot your money, and your comfort zone with price tags. I would say I spend a lot of money on watches proportional to my income because I view this as a hobby. A more casual person wouldn't spend as much as I do, and rightfully so. No one should be spending the proportions I spend, but they might spend more money on fancy holidays or vacations or cars or fancy road bikes or I don't know. What do not watch people spend their money on? Boats? Leather jackets? At the end of the day, this is just silly wrist jewelry. I'm not going to get too upset if the time isn't right. I'll keep saving a little bit longer. This is something I'm learning in real time right now, and my attitude's changing a lot around finding pieces that fit my lifestyle. Your comfort with a watch and how it fits into your life is one of the most important factors. You might love the JLC Reverso, but when you try it on, you just don't feel comfortable in it, or it doesn't suit your style, you can't see yourself wearing it. That's a sign that maybe you shouldn't buy that watch, even if you love the idea of it. I'm kind of the other way around. I convinced myself for years that anything that didn't have 100 meters of water resistance, if it couldn't sustain the harshest terrain known to mankind, it just couldn't keep up with my lifestyle. But upon some pretty honest self-reflection, I mostly just go to hipster cafes and eat croissants and go to Mummy and Me groups. I can wear a Cartier tank every day of my life and be fine, and it actually would suit my personal style a lot more than an Omega Planet Ocean. But that's just me, and I say all these things as someone who is right now wearing a watch with 300 meters of water resistance. Why this feature is on a watch that I apparently need to own, it's a mystery to me. But everyone's answer to this will be personal, specific to them, and how they live their lives. Have you ever seen something for sale on Chrono24 and think, that's a great deal? But then you see that it's in Hong Kong, but you're still like, that's okay, baby, I'll pay for the shipping, let's get this watch. Before you purchase, make sure you look at the importing taxes and fees of your country. I recently received a comment, I'll put it up right now, and it was a great reminder. If you're in the UK, a standard VAT of 20% is applied to all imported goods. And when it comes to watches, 20%, that's a lot of guacamole. So if you see a watch being advertised for £10,000 on Chrono24, right away you need to add on £2,000 VAT, probably shipping, and if there's any further fees through the selling platform. I always narrow down my Chrono24 searches to just the UK because I can't cope with the ball achery. Death and taxes, baby. Death and taxes. And finally, build your collection slowly and intentionally. I always say watch collecting is a marathon. These are pretty expensive items that are usually purchased with a lot of saving and often to mark certain milestones in life. It sounds cringy and annoying, and I already hate myself before saying this, but enjoy the journey. Half the fun of watch collecting is obsessing over a watch and waiting for the day that you can finally buy it. I know it's cringy, but sometimes cringy things are the truest things. Anyways, guys, that is the 8 things I wish I knew sooner. I'd love to know if there's anything you'd add in those comments down below, or anything you would challenge or disagree with me about. Let me know. I'll see you down there. Thank you once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Thank you to you for your viewership. And thank you, oh my gosh, to the names on the screen. Yes, these are the Pope tier patrons. Thank you. Right, that was a slightly different outro. I just got very into Pope tier patrons. Thank you all tier patrons, you're all amazing. But a big special thank you to the highest tier of patrons, the Pope tiers. You guys keep the lights on here, you keep this channel going. So thank you so much. I hope you keep enjoying the work we do here. I love making these videos. It's so awesome that this is my job. That rocks. And it can only be my job because of you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you keep enjoying the work here. Bye, guys.